Is it okay to love Tchaikovsky's music unreservedly, or does that make you an incorrigibly sentimental amateur? We'll show you why his genius is still underestimated and what sets him apart from truly harmless salon music. And we'll explain Tchaikovsky's greatest gift to pianists, a waltz that even amateurs can more or less play sight read, yet one that is so exceptional that it stands on equal footing with other epoch-making piano works of the 19th century. But there's one thing even we won't be able to do: explain the beauty and emotional power of Tchaikovsky's melodies. Instead, we'll debunk some famous absurd judgments by music critics about his music and give you tips on how to make the waltz your own through improvisation. When it comes to the story behind the creation of Tchaikovsky's Valse Sentimentale, we can't tell a tale of urgency, commitment, or a secret message to anyone in particular. Tchaikovsky wrote the cycle in which the piece appears as a commissioned work, and he was apparently more concerned with who was paying him for it than with conveying anything profound to the world. That doesn't change the fact that it's a masterpiece. The rather unassuming story behind its creation also has its merits. It may prevent the waltz from being overburdened with false biographical or philosophical interpretations. Thus, it can be seen for what it is: a brilliant melodic and harmonic masterpiece. The melody is composed of three motifs. First, there is the arc spanning a decima, which culminates in the typically expressive minor sixth. Second, there is a two-part sequence of long and short notes, once short and once extended. The third motif appears as a sort of bridge consisting of dotted quarter notes and 3/8 notes, each introduced by an appoggiatura of quarter notes. Rhythmically, the melody is not complex, but harmonically it is indeed original. It expands the range of the natural F minor scale to include the augmented fourth, the minor ninth, and the major seventh, that is, the most awkward altered intervals. The use of the minor ninth suggests a Phrygian mode or a Neapolitan sixth chord. One criterion for compositional brilliance is how well a composer succeeds in constructing a formal structure that is not predictably symmetrical but rather irregular, yet still appears organic and logical to the listener. The true masters of this technique were the outstanding exponents of the Viennese school: Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven. The melody of Tchaikovsky's Valse Sentimentale is by no means symmetrically constructed either. The first four measures take the form of a three-measure motif with an appoggiatura. The second four measures consist of a two-measure sequence. This is followed by a repetition of the first four measures. Then the two-measure motif is slightly varied 4 times, spanning a total of 8 measures. This creates an internal tension that contributes significantly to the piece's expressiveness without being consciously perceived. Tchaikovsky enriches the F minor chord at the beginning with an augmented fourth, introduced as a chromatic approximation from below. Then things really get going. What follows is something like a 2-5-1-5-1 cadence. The 2 is, in keeping with the minor key, a half-diminished G minor chord. The first 5, like the second, would actually be a C major dominant chord. Tchaikovsky replaces it with pure G-flat major, followed by pure D-flat major. These would be the tritone substitutes for C major as the dominant of F minor and G major as the intermediate dominant, leading to the dominant C seventh after F minor. Melodically, however, the G-flat stands out. This suggests interpreting both chords, both G-flat and D-flat, as derivatives of a Neapolitan B minor, once with G-flat in the bass and once with D-flat in the bass. The interpretation as Neapolitan is confirmed in measures 32 through 34 of our sheet music. As a reminder, a Neapolitan sixth chord is essentially a fourth-degree minor chord with a minor sixth instead of the fifth, in this case, G-flat instead of F. It is called a sixth chord because it consists of the same notes as the first inversion, namely a sixth chord, of a lowered second degree. In this case, that is G-flat major. Another harmonically noteworthy passage is the accompaniment in measures 12 through 20. In the middle voices, a fragment of an E-flat seventh chord remains as a drone, while the bass ascends twice in second intervals from the root to the third. Jazz musicians might hear a blues lick here. Moreover, Tchaikovsky does not shy away from letting F-sharp and F clash in the two-part harmony of bass and melody. Tchaikovsky's music did not, and still does not, enjoy a good reputation among music theorists and critics. His Russian colleagues considered his music too Western and avant-garde. In the 19th century, the influential German music critic Eduard Hanslick even went so far as to claim, with regard to Tchaikovsky's violin concerto, that one could smell the stench of this music. Even in the 20th century, Tchaikovsky's accessible emotionality was largely met with derision. Theodor Adorno, the century's most significant German music philosopher, scoffed that Tchaikovsky managed to package even despair in pop melodies. Must Tchaikovsky's music really be placed on the same level as the salon music of his time? Let's put this to the test and compare the Valse Sentimentale with a typical salon piece of the era, Gustav Lang's Herzensklänge. Little is known about Lang's largely uneventful life. A graduate of the Erfurt Conservatory, he wrote countless character pieces, fantasies, marches, polonaises, mazurkas, waltzes, and so on, and was a popular composer in his day. Let's take a look at Lang's Herzensklänge. We'll limit ourselves to the first 16 measures. There is a great deal of literal motif repetition, but no stumbling blocks or surprises to be found. The harmony largely follows 5/1 cadences, only the conclusions are tentatively colored. First with a subdominant and the dominant G to the parallel key. Then, to heighten the effect, even with a minor subdominant. It's all very regular, predictable, and well-behaved. The vast majority of salon pieces of the time follow this pattern, occasionally enriched with superficial dramatic outbursts that, however, seem more like afterthoughts than structurally coherent elements. The amateur pianists of the time were meant to be able to revel in emotions without any intellectual challenges. Tchaikovsky's Valse Sentimentale is quite different. It is formally complex, melodically asymmetrical, and innovative in both harmony and counterpoint, and thus also a challenge to the intellect. Yet, and this seems truly astonishing, it is easy to play. Every truly great piece of music has its own secret. Why does Mozart's music seem to glow? Why do Chopin's melodies seem so elegant and yet so fragile? How does Saint-Saëns manage to characterize animals so aptly and wittily with subtle humor? And why do Tchaikovsky's brilliant melodies possess at once inner warmth, surprising playfulness, and passionate energy? Such questions still elude scientific explanation today. What we can say, however, is that academic critics do Tchaikovsky an injustice. Their disparagement, however, concerns less his formal and innovative abilities than the fact that he succeeds in combining beauty with emotional accessibility. In the academic world, such qualities are often viewed with suspicion as immature sentimentality. Here we'll limit ourselves to the A section of the waltz. Tchaikovsky continues it with a sort of elaborated B section. The complete sheet music can be easily downloaded from the International Music Score Library Project website. We'll therefore refrain from publishing the full score here. A PDF accompanying this video is available on the Academia l'Art website, including sheet music in C, B, and E-flat, a harmonic analysis, and additional tips. What should you keep in mind when improvising? Broadly speaking, the piece oscillates between a sophisticated F minor and its parallel key, A-flat major, in the bridge sections. Over the F minor in the minor sections, you can play a G double harmonic scale, over the half-diminished G minor chord, a B melodic minor scale, and over the dominant chord in C, an altered scale. Details on this can be found in the PDF mentioned above. A link to it is provided in the comments. If you'd like to learn more about the theoretical basis of academial art, check out this video. If you'd like to compare this Tchaikovsky piece with a Schubert waltz, then this video is for you. Thanks for watching.